Dan Bernstein Unfiltered. Unfiltered on 312 Sports.
You know what we do here on Fridays. You know this drill, even if you listen to it on a Saturday, as many of you do while you're doing yard work or running errands, or you're headed out to Home Depot or Menards or whatever you're doing, and you're listening right now because you want to hear Friday Feedback Friday, and you want to hear our top 10 list. Well,
Yeah, and if you're if you're new to the show today, thank you for listening.
hi,
And
welcome.
yeah, make sure you subscribe to the shows. We have 312, which is DBU, and then we also have the Forward Progress, as Dan mentioned. Be very football-y today. Just subscribe to both channels for us. We'd appreciate that.
And if you're a Bulls fan, there's also organizations win championships. There is Maddie's pod that goes a little bit beyond sports called From the 50, which is a creative outlet for Maddie and some long-form interviewing. If you really enjoy that, if you want to just settle down with something, there's some very interesting observations and life lessons that you can learn from there. Thanks to everybody who's found this trade deadline to discover OWC, because we've been working hard on something. Last night, man, I hope you enjoyed that. So settle in if you're a Bulls fan. Just really understand what we're doing for these last 30. You want them to lose all of them, and you want to find out who the players are, who can fit with Giddey, who can fit with Buzelis, and you got a little bit of that last night. But
well, there's three of them. There's three players on this roster.
Well, right now, as far as what AK said, he said Giddey, Modest, and then he mentioned Ice, which is the nickname. Ice is the nickname for Isaac Okoro. Bad time to be nicknamed Ice.
Okay.
Bad
okay.
time.
First of all, I didn't know who it was, and I'm like, all right, who is Ice? And then I was like, why would you even go there, bro? Like that's just like, let's change that nickname right away.
Yeah, Isaac Okoro.
That's a bad nickname to have right now.
Is nicknamed Ice. Yes, it's like being. Yeah, I'm not even going to make comps to what it's a bad time for that nickname. So he's part of it.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to pay Anthony Simons, but he's probably the best player on the team right now. He's really good.
Yeah,
he's really good, and that's why he
was really good. And I was as we were talking before too. I was not at all impressed with what I saw in Jaden Ivey. I was really disappointed in how poorly he was playing. He looked really bad out there. I didn't expect to see that. Yeah,
they were switching bigs onto him, and he couldn't get around them. They were switching centers onto him. He off the dribble, that would have been, oh my God, that's a mismatch. Go take him. He couldn't get around guys just because he's still trying to get that first step back. And if he doesn't, I'm not going to make it off, because I don't like this iteration of him at all until I know that his twitch is back. That's and let me tell you, oh my God, Mac McClung sucks.
No, yeah, he's not good.
Oh my God, is he bad?
Yeah.
He's tiny and bad, and he looks like he came out of Globo Gym. Here's Laser and Blazer and Mac McClung. Like, come on, man. Come on. He's that. They have two toy basketball players. Yuki is better than Mac McClung.
Yes, he is, and that's not even a question.
No, Yuki's better. He had one really sick pass last night too. There's some fun there with Yuki. I don't know why you put McClung on a two-way rather than find some big guy.
I think his resume speaks for itself. There's no reason that dude should be here. Period.
No,
I don't get it.
Are we ready for a little bit of Friday Feedback Friday here on this Friday Feedback Friday?
Yes, we are. I'm excited to hear what you harvested from this week's emails.
Yeah, there was once again a lot right here. And we're going to start it out with our guy, Robert in Naperville. And he has sent along some pictures as part of this, too, that might make you hungry. He said, fellas, I'm going to skip the attempt to exercise my brain here by developing some kind of counter argument, but this Super Bowl matchup is buns. I am never going to turn down seeing the Patriots get clapped, but by the Seahawks, not a lot here for me. It's not why I called, though.
Oh, just FYI, buns means bad.
He said, every year, my wife and I host a Super Bowl party. where we mash up the cuisines of the two competing markets into one centerpiece dish. Last year, in honor of Chiefs-Eagles, we did Kansas City burnt ends Philly cheesesteaks. And he includes a picture. He says they were great, a lot, but great. He said we even gold-bellied our hoagies from Amoroso's Baking Company and everything. He said for Niners Chiefs the year before, we sourced a massive country loaf of sourdough bread and served a Kansas City burnt ends dip inside of its hollowed out shell. Again, great. And again, a lot. What the hell am I supposed to make for this game? There's no intuitive mashup of cuisines jumping out at me. I think of Seattle and New England, and immediately we think, seafood. Well, we have seafood allergy having bastards attending, so that's out. I'm not trying to catch a case here. Seattle does have a style of hot dog that seems interesting. Cream cheese spread, caramelized onions, sliced raw jalapeno. But what do I combine with that of the New England side? Cut up hot dogs on a New Haven pizza? Do I ladle Boston baked beans onto that finished glizzy? Do I squeeze in a Boston cream pie? I want to make sure this owl is as superb as possible. Guys, any ideas about a proper mashup for these two cities?
Yeah, I have two things I can say. Number one, the people with seafood allergies, just stay home. Or just don't eat the food, period. Because immediately I just thought you just do a seafood chowder. And you take what's prevalent there in Seattle and you just marry that with like a New England clam chowder, but you do a seafood chowder. Another thing you can do is if he likes the idea of that Seattle hot dog, which sounds interesting, I would do a variety of dogs and then just use the split top like lobster roll buns that you get for a lobster roll. That's what I would do.
Yeah.
That's how you combine those two right there.
That's kind of a neat idea.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
See, look at Maddie. There you go, Robert.
Just ask and answer.
I agree. I think with these towns involved, your seafood is the way to go. And if they're allergic, that's their fault. Too bad for them.
And like get itchy, uncomfortable, just can't eat it. Their tummy hurts or die.
An EpiPen.
Like what's the where are we at?
Bring EpiPens.
Right. If it's just I'm going to get itchy and uncomfortable or I can't enjoy it, then hey, thanks for coming. Here's the TV. Here's the Tostitos and salsa. If you're going to die, then maybe just don't come.
I think as long as you make them sign something so you're not on the hook if they do.
Right. Or have a paramedic stand on site.
Here's Brendan in Mount Greenwood, who says, on Tuesday's Forward Progress, you skirted awfully close, Dan, to saying what the NFL needs people like you to say. The reason that so many owners are blind and ignorant to the hiring of minority, particularly black coaches, is racism. I don't mean the owners are all Klansmen or they would go back to the days of Jim Crow. That's obvious racism. It's the kind that everybody, including most racists, condemns. This kind of racism is more insidious. It isn't based on a desire to discriminate against minoritized populations in places of power. It's based in a deliberate ignorance to the lived experience of anyone outside of themselves. The truth is, the owners of NFL teams, and really in most leagues, so it's particularly stark in the NFL, they don't want to know what they don't know. It's easier for them not to think about what people of color have dealt with in the NFL beyond breaking their bodies for the league, to think about how they've been repeatedly shut out of positions of power based on nothing else except they don't look like most owners. So, Dan, you're right. Ownership by people of color would help, but it's not just that. White owners have to take a leadership stance and actively promote the diversity of the NFL the NFL claims it desires. That's why, as much as we rightfully rag on George McCaskey for being weird and awkward and hammy, we should appreciate the way he has completely turned around the Bears' legacy on racial matters. Bears fans know that George Halas was part of the ownership cabal that kept black players out of the league for years after World War II. McCaskey, by contrast, has been very deliberate about placing non-white people in positions of power, particularly at the top of his organization. Has he been perfect? No. But there was a moment a couple years ago after the firing of Matt Eberflus where the president, GM, interim coach all three coordinators and top position players, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, were all black men. And that's a hell of a lot different from the racism that George Halas displayed. I'm a Bears fan. I'm predisposed to thinking ill of the McCaskies because the McCaskies are cheap bastards. But if we're being real about this particular subject, the McCaskies are among the best in the league at giving actual opportunities to people of color, and they really deserve credit for that.
Yeah, well
Glad
said.
you said that.
Yeah, nicely done.
I'm glad you said that. This was a question from Daryl. I'm so glad that you listened. There was one forward progress this week that went completely batshit.
Oh God, yeah,
that went totally off the rails.
Yeah.
And so clearly Daryl was listening. Daryl says, "I'm pretty offended, Maddie, that you sent the Tin Man to the Turning Point USA halftime show without checking his Americanness first." And then he asked, "Is Tin Man one word or two, and is Americanness a word?"
That's right. We did have the Tin Man there, didn't we?
You did. You were casting that entire event, and I don't know how he got there, but I think it is technically the woodsman, the Tin Woodsman.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know. How did I get him there? Was he? Did he meet the lion there on Grinder? What was the?
I
think that's what it was.
It's something like that. That he met the lion on Grinder, and they went to the Turning Point USA halftime show together to see Kid Rock, because Kid Rock is the avatar of morality that Bad Bunny is not. If I'm following correctly, yes, I believe you did have him there. And Tin Man is two words, and we will grant you Americanness is a word, but we haven't checked how American the Tin Man is. I don't know.
Yeah, I gotta find something here real quick. Because this fits in line with Friday Feedback Friday. So you want to play a little game? I have a little game for you. Ready?
Sure.
Okay. The game is it Kid Rock or Bad Bunny?
Kid Rock or Bad Bunny?
Yep. And this was sent in to us from Russ. All right.
Okay.
Who sang the lyrics? Young ladies, I like them underage. See, some say that's statutory, but I say that's mandatory. Was it Kid Rock or was it Bad Bunny?
If Bad Bunny would have done that, he would have been canceled forever. So it's got to be Kid Rock.
Ding, ding, ding. Correct. You are correct, sir. So 1 point for you.
Ew.
All right. Was it Kid Rock, Bad Bunny, or Brad Bunny?
Brad Bunny?
Who released a sex tape featuring one of those and Scott Stapp of Creed having sex with several strippers? Was it Kid Rock or Bad Bunny?
Yeah, it was Kid Rock.
It was Kid Rock. Correct. Ding, 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 ding.
Okay.
All right. Who, either Kid Rock or Bad Bunny, has been arrested 4 times for assault? Kid Rock or Bad Bunny?
Maybe there's, as far as I know, it's Kid Rock.
Kid Rock is correct. Ding, 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 ding.
I see.
You're doing good. You're okay.
I
last question. This is for a perfect score.
Yes.
Perfect score and a trip to that far off exotic land of Puerto Rico.
Ooh.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Who, Kid Rock or Brad Bunny or Bad Bunny, has won 6 Grammy Awards?
that would be Bad Bunny.
That is Bad Bunny. All right, last question for you. It's a bonus round, and this comes with a brand new car. Who, Kid Rock or Bad Bunny, has won 0 Grammy Awards?
Kid Rock.
Very good. Nicely done, Dan. That was a trick one at the end, but you got it. Nicely done. Very, very good. All right, so you were 5-0. All right, congratulations, and thanks for sending it in, Russ. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's very interesting, and thank you for that.
One more time. Young ladies, I like them underage. See, some say that's statutory, but I say that's mandatory. Kid Rock.
Ew.
Yep.
That's sort of like what was the lyric from Poison by Belle Biv DeVoe? Backstage, underage, adolescent, how you doing? Fine. She replied, I sighed. I was like, ew.
Ooh.
And we still hear that song, right?
Hey, buddy.
Yeah, not great, boys.
No.
Not good.
Not good.
This note was sent in by Dan, who says, "Hey, Bernstein, Can you drop that heart plug recipe? I need to add it to my collection of Bernstein foods. My favorite is either your chili or your indoor beer brats. Yeah, both really good.
But you gave the like it's not like you said what it was.
Yeah, I'll say it again. But again,
It's not hard.
It was a caller into the score who sent this in when we were doing a segment on it. And it's been great. And it's inexpensive. It's easy. I do it a little differently. I add a step to it, but you don't have to. But it is a basic frozen garlic bread. I literally got the Kroger brand garlic bread, and I put it in a Pyrex glass baking pan, and you just, while it's frozen, you open it up, you split it, you lie it down, you preheat the oven to 350. You then have I take a pound of loose Italian sausage. I don't buy the hot because I like to control the heat myself. And there's going to be heat from the giardiniera in this, so I don't like to make the sausage sauce too hot. You can either just brown the sausage and put that on there and use a jarred red sauce, a jarred marinara of some kind, or you can do what I do, and that is make my own red sauce as I usually would, but with the sausage instead of beef, and let that simmer for a while. And then I coat the garlic bread with the sausage sauce mixture. Then it is a thick layer of the shredded 6 Italian cheese mixed bag. I go through a whole bag for this recipe. So I put half the bag on there. Then another layer of the sauce. Then a layer of medium heat giardiniera of your choice. You can do hot, you can do mild if you want, however you want, but I use medium heat. That's perfect. Gives the acidity and then the heat. And then the second half of the shredded Italian cheese from the bag. And then you bake it to taste. You make sure everything is cooked through and maybe a little darkened on the top, browned and dripping around the edges. And then you slice it up and eat it.
Wait, so you do the bread you don't do the bread, you don't bake the bread first?
No. Don't need to.
Well, yeah, I mean, doesn't the cheese get too cooked?
No.
Okay.
No, everything ends up fine.
All right, I'm going to do that. I mean, I'll do my own little spin on it, and I'm going to do with the bread. I'm going to bake the bread first. I might actually make my own bread.
Well, I was going to say,
yeah,
you can do your own bread, but the bread is already it's already like prepared. It just needs to be heated through.
I know. I like to control everything that I do with it, and I think I'm going to use. I don't know if you've ever tried this, but our guy Jeff Morrow.
Yeah.
Sandwich King. He has his own line of giardiniera that's out, and Moral Provisions is his line. He has seasonings and stuff. It's great. It's great stuff. You get it all over the Chicagoland area. He does it's a hot honey giardiniera, like a honey giardiniera. Dude,
it's all you.
Oh, dude, I thought I wouldn't like it. I eat it with a spoon out of the jar. I'm telling you, you would love it. It's not real hot where it's like overpowering. It's a great level of heat, and there's a little bit of the sweet to it, and then the crunch of the vegetables, and they're diced really, really fine. It might be my favorite condiment that I've ever had. It's
wow,
dude. I put it on sandwiches. It's great. I put it on turkey sandwiches. I make Italian subs, and I'll put that on the Italian. It is unbelievable. I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to give your thing a spin on Sunday.
Okay.
But I'm going to try my honey giardiniera.
I haven't decided if I'm going to cook or what I'm going to cook. Haven't. I've got to see because it's hard because, Beth wouldn't eat the chili and I, Jason's not around. So it's not like I'm cooking for a whole house of people.
Yeah. That's the thing with this. Yeah. With the garlic bread, I'll probably be the only one that eats it.
Why?
Because I just don't know if anybody else will. So
that's crazy.
I think we're going to do like a big giant sheet pan nachos too. I think because it's just me, Natalie, and then Lucas and Griff and her 2 boys. So Griff asked for nachos. I think we'll do a big like sheet pan nachos, and I'll make the garlic bread myself. Actually, I think that's all I'm going to do.
Actually, Beth's dad makes a really good garlic bread. Really good.
You should have him do it.
He uses it he takes he smashes his own fresh garlic paste.
Yeah. He does it right.
It is so garlicky.
Dude, he doesn't have time to do that for you Sunday.
Yeah,
I'm sure he's got plans on Sunday.
Yeah, knowing right now probably does.
He doesn't have time for you to make garlic bread.
Probably does. This was sent by Kevin. He says, Kevin in New York in Jefferson Park. He said, as the Bulls continue to raid the second round pantry and assemble a team exclusively below 6'9", it got me thinking about weaponized nostalgia in Chicago sports. It's a big open secret, and what a week for those, that Chicago sports organizations have mastered deploying memories of old to obfuscate on-field sins of the present. The Cubs won't spend. Here's Anthony Rizzo. The Bears are weird. Oh, 1985, baby. The White Sox are awful. Here's a celebration of Black history with every player except Frank Thomas. The point is there's a warm fuzzy to point to, except now for the Bulls. Now that the Bulls have retired Derrick Rose's number, now what? The Bulls have flogged the 90s teams for all they're worth. Those squads are further in the rearview mirror than ever. The main attraction, the 1A greatest player of all time, won't show up because the United Center isn't a golf course next to his house. Even using the other members of those squads as cover doesn't inoculate against the ugliness, like those chud fans at the Ring of Honor ceremony booing Jerry Krause's widow. So after the Jordan Bulls, after D Rose, what's to distract from whatever the Bulls are now? The Duncan races and Benny the Bull's popcorn, it's only going to go so far to distract us from a paltry on-court product. You can't rely on a traveling act like Wemby all year. The number retirement was a celebration, but it really did feel like the end of something. The past has given the Bulls all it had. The Cubs now make the playoffs and have a dazzling outfielder. The Bears have a new focus and a tantalizing quarterback. The White Sox they've had Japanese players before this year. Oh boy.
Well, now they have a bidet.
Yes, but for the Bulls though, it really is what now? Well, it's Bulls basketball is what it is. It's sorting out these last 30 games. I'm not a good guy to ask because I'm there no matter what. I'm a connoisseur of bad Bulls basketball and I love it. Last night at one point when they showed that starting lineup, Jason texted me and he said, "This is my favorite Bulls team of all time."
Of course he would.
I said, "Really?" He goes, "Yes." He goes, "This roster tonight is my favorite Bulls team of all time." And I said, "That's because you have a pathology." And he said, "I know, I'm not denying that." But I don't have an answer for you, Kev.
I can give you one. It's when someone dies.
Well, Johnny Ray Kerr and all of his children.
That's like the next big, and they bury him alive. That's the next big. That's the next big thing because there really isn't anything left. That's a great email.
Yeah,
there's nothing. I mean, outside of Jordan, who again won't show up unless you get Mike Tirico there
for once, just once though.
Yeah. You saw that? Did you see the American team for the World Baseball Classic?
No, I don't like the American. I don't root for the American team ever, so I haven't looked at it.
2 Chicago Cubs, Pete Crow Armstrong and Matthew Boyd in the starting rotation.
Okay. I'm surprised that Matt Shaw wouldn't take it on himself to be a flag-waving representation.
They told him no
States
thanks.
of America. Yeah, you can. But the problem is my Puerto Rican team.
Oh, my bad. I missed Bregman at third. Sorry.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
He's not playing for Team Israel this time. Traitor.
Guess not.
Traitor. And I guess Team Israel maybe didn't make it this time. But I thought the Puerto Rican team was having some issues with insurance, getting MLB guys insured properly, so they didn't know if they were going to be able to field a team. But they're always the most fun by a mile.
Yeah, oh yeah, not even close.
So and you know what else they are? American.
So do you watch the WBC?
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, when I'm get excited for baseball, and you find guys there. You find a guy who like bombed out of Double-A and got good again, or discovered a pitch and is getting people out. I love matchups like that. And actually, one of those guys was on Jason's team. There was a guy, I forgot his name. He was on Team Italy. He's a Chicago kid. He was on Team Italy.
He played with your son.
They played in the Mexican League here, in the Azteca League. He was actually on the Troceros for a while. On the same team. They weren't on the team at the same time, but he was a pitcher on that team, I guess. So, that's the kind of league that it was. This is a question from Brian, who asks, wait a damn minute. Dan, did you say that you got a brain injury while playing a character with no brain while singing If I Only Had a Brain? Is this irony? I'm going with a yes.
You did say that.
I did say that, and it is true that when I was portraying the Scarecrow, and in the scene where I was singing If I Only Had a Brain, and I did a choreographed fall on a concrete floor, and I hit my head and nearly knocked myself out. That is irony. I hadn't quite thought of it that way.
Yeah, very much so.
But
Why did your
yes.
Scarecrow have breasts, though?
Because I was given a lot of latitude.
Okay, make the character your own,
Yeah,
young Daniel.
I was given a lot of latitude. They said make the character, and he wasn't sure. He was unsure about some things at that point, and he was trying to figure things out. It was a subtext that I added at that point. But thank you for the question, Brian. And I would say yes, that's irony. This is Billy. Guys, in regard to the conversation you were having about the point that Joe Sheehan made about no such thing as a pitching prospect and the modern philosophy of Major League pitching, I think it's the ruining the game cranks, but they may have a point here, so hear me out. There's no argument that the numbers say that you always go for the strikeout. You scout pitching with that in mind, you develop in mind, you manage your team with that in mind. There's not ever an in-game situation where pitching to contact is a better choice than not. But in any single in-game situation, it's inarguable. But I wonder if teams are employing short-term profit at all costs mentality that exists in the modern business or finance world. So many of these great modern baseball minds emerged in the post-Moneyball era from that world. Assessing value through statistical analysis makes sense to come at the job in more the same way an economist or a tech bro might maximize everything right now always. But those hedge fund MFers have shown us what the actual cost of short-term profit over long-term value starts to look like when it's no longer short-term. It ruins everything. I'm an admitted smooth brain when it comes to statistical analysis. I don't have much more to go off of here than like vibes, man. But I wonder if anyone has done a deep dive into the risk-value ratio when you look at a pitcher the way you would a long-term investment. You say, yeah, for the game we're playing right now, go for the strikeout. Does the value of that decision not come with a cost for player and team, shortened careers, diminished ability to pitch more innings per game? Is there some kind of value lost, even if you're looking at it purely from an investment standpoint, regardless of the questions of morality that arise? And we teach every kid who picks up a baseball they must always and only maximize velocity. You can look at players as a short-term investment, but with the work and money that goes into finding the best pitching prospects, I know they don't exist, and the time and effort to develop them, how can they also not be seen to some degree as a long-term investment as well? I don't know how to fix it. I don't know how to convince any team to not do whatever they can do to win right damn now. But I know everything right damn now always doesn't give us the results that we truly desire, not in life, not as a country, and not as a baseball fan. I think it might once again, as we did after Moneyball, be time to take another big step back so the picture comes into view in larger form. Or maybe I'm just dumber than hummus. Love the show, love your suit. Billy, you're not. That's a great question to ask. And I do think that it always has an effect to make a point broadly. And that's largely what Sheehan does. The idea there's no such thing as a pitching prospect. And that's more so, you're not talking about a guy you just drafted. I mean, somebody has to understand how to acclimate to professional baseball and how to throw the ball over the plate. It's more so the ones who eventually become what would be a true prospect. When you're talking AA, AAA, the higher levels, and you say, all right, we don't want to waste the bullets down here. We want those in the major leagues. But I don't know the answer. And I think it depends on what you're willing to pay and when you're willing to pay it. You're already looking at the Tigers, who lost their arbitration hearing against Tariq Skubal. We were looking at a $30 million guy before they wanted to pay him, thinking, well, now that's over. Now they're not going to pay him, and somebody else is going to pay him. So if someone else is going to pay them, it's a different calculation than deciding what the asset is going to look like when you commit to pay for it. So I don't have an easy answer for you. I know that's disappointing, and we love to have things clean and clear in this segment, but I think smarter baseball brains than I would give you a more satisfactory answer. I don't know if you got a thought on it, Maddie, but I think that's always the question of what do you pay pitching?
Yeah, no, it's the yeah, and it's really it's a progressive type topic as it's transitioning through what I always thought was a really good pitcher, and some of the guys that are historically great that I've watched in my life weren't these throw the ball 100 miles an hour, make guys miss the bat. They were guys that were excellent in location, but also had really great defenses behind them that certainly helped the way they looked. But um, yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of changing in my views and perspective of things. I never wanted to get too tied down in the whole statistical approach to baseball because I want to go out and play the game, but it's hard not to look at it and how the Cubs have kind of trailed, as my team has kind of trailed in what baseball is progressing towards from the pitching mound. And I loved the thought of the conversation that we had that there isn't a pitching prospect anymore. Now it's hard to make that blanketed statement because yes, there are guys that are maybe they're striking out, but you're not going to put an 18 or 19-year-old kid who maybe can throw the ball hard and strike guys out at a certain level up at the major league level. They still need to develop a little bit and even confidence too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the idea if you have a guy that's been in your system and he's striking people out, yeah, get him to the majors quicker. So you're not only based on the whole. And I think what really sealed it for me was the argument of there's only so many bullets in the gun, to use that bad analogy. And if you're going to be wasting those at the minor league level when he could be striking guys out at the major league level to help your team, whether it's for a season or a stretch of a season, even a short portion of that season, use those strikeouts at the major league level.
Yeah, one of those guys ended up starting the All-Star game last year.
Right.
They just said, what's this guy doing? Oh, okay, here he is. Hello.
Yeah, there's a hard process to it because people look at baseball with such nostalgia and the history of it, and it's really the only game that you can. It's an individualized team sport where you really can use the data to help your team, and that's counterintuitive to the whole process of being physical and playing a game, and using the statistical information at your hands. And there's more available in baseball. So why not use it? And why not be progressive in that regard to get the best possible outcome at each at bat, regardless of how that looks with whatever player that might be?
And I just think the answer, largely the economic answer that you're asking, comes down to how long would you want to pay that person to be a part of your organization?
Right.
How special, how much of an outlier, and what does your system look like to develop replacements?
Right. And then
there's some systems that can say, we're going to find these arms and you get hurt, you're gone. You pump it out as hard as you can, as long as you can, and then go, and then we'll get somebody else. And we never have to pay somebody for diminishing returns.
Right. And then some people will argue against that, but you're denying what is actually true about it, that each individual player is just an asset to an organization.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're just going to get the most out of them and then dump them off. Well, yeah, that's how the sport works. It's a really bad business.
I have saved the best for last year.
Not as bad as football, but it's a bad business.
I've saved the best for last year.
Okay.
And I don't know if you saw this, and I hope you didn't when it came in. This was sent in by our friend Dominic, and it's a poster. It is a poster of the Chicago Horror Convention's flashback weekend.
Oh.
And the Chicago Horror Convention is going to be here from July 31st through August 2nd. It is that weekend, and this is Chicago's longest running and premier horror convention.
Horror.
Horror, and they have made an announcement as to one of the attendees at this year's convention.
Oh, I know where this is going. If I'm right.
One of the featured attendees,
yes,
one of the celebrities,
let's go,
is the one and only Dick Warlock.
Yes.
Dick Warlock, longtime horror stuntman, portrayer of Michael Myers in Halloween. And he's going to be there.
Okay.
And what I've saved this email because Dominic said, I'm happy to make an introduction to the owners of the convention. He said, if you guys want to do a remote there, because at the very least, I will go and ask him to do a promo for your show.
100%. It's got to be done. All right.
Okay.
That is amazing.
All right. Do you have a copy of this, or should I forward this to you?
No, I have Dominic's email. I just didn't. I don't read all the ones that come through. So
I know. That's
I try to
my
save
job.
them for this. Yeah.
Yeah. There's so many cool pictures of
All
him
right.
here.
I'm making a note of it, Dominic. I got it.
He was the stunt double for Snake Plissken in Escape from New York. How cool is that? Escape from New York.
Wait, Dick Warlock was or Dominic was?
Yes, Dick Warlock. The Thing, Jaws, Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah, remember because he was Kurt Russell's personal guy for like 25 years.
Yep, but I didn't know that when personal guy, he was like his body guy. He was like what Brad Pitt's character was to Leonardo DiCaprio's character in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Correct. Yeah, so now we're going to make this happen. We're going to have a conversation with Dick Warlock because there's so many great things to talk about. Escape from New York.
You should get
Big
him
Trouble
on
in Little
From the
China.
50.
Oh,
He'd
actually.
be unbelievable on From the 50, wouldn't he?
That's a great idea. All
Yeah.
right. We're going to make that happen. So July 31st, August 2nd, the Horror, HORROR convention.
Yep.
At the Whores.
No, check that. So I just thought that was so cool.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah. Thank you, Dominic. So
it's funny. One of our listeners had a Super Bowl square for his daughter's soccer team. I got in on.
Okay.
And I got to pick the square, and then he sends the squares out complete with numbers, and he puts my name he put down was Dick Hammer.
Of course he did.
Yes.
Why wouldn't he?
I don't know.
If you need windows, now is the time to call, because right now we want to keep all this warm air in and the cold air out. But like a blink, it's going to go soon. We are looking at, what are we on the 6th? We're about 3 weeks away from the spring coho run. So that means spring is practically here right now. And that means soon you're going to want the cold air in and the hot air outside. Either way, you need new, good windows. And the person to get you those is right here in Chicago. He's Russ Armstrong. He is the owner of Chicago Window Guys. And Russ comes to your house to give you the estimate. Russ will explain everything to you, and you say, well, hold on a second, Russ. I've heard all these price match guarantees from other places. I've heard all of these places. They say this, the lowest price. Buy one, get one free. Russ like, no. They do it the right way, and they will tell you what things actually cost, what those other deals actually are. And then, if you think someplace else will give you a price that you think is better, Russ will match that price. But he's going to explain to you what everything really is. And that's why I went with the Chicago Window Guys, and that's why I personally recommend them to friends, to neighbors, because all of our houses were built at the same time in our neighborhood. We all had the same crappy builder windows that were in there, and that's why it's been 20 years, everybody's had to replace their windows, and Russ has done a bunch of them. So call 847-302-9171. He's got 5-star reviews you can check out at chicagowindowguys.com. It's also important to remember that he doesn't use subcontracted labor. His people they come out to do the measurements, and when it comes time to installation, these aren't just people that he's picking up somewhere that are just working for him for that day. They're his people. They work for Russ. So call him 847-302-9171 and check out his 5-star reviews at chicagowindowguys.com. We have been doing throughout the season on this show a top 10 list. And this time, in honor of the Super Bowl, it was Matt Abaticola's decision on this one, and I always enjoy it. And I put some work in yesterday. People can ask. I didn't leave the office until like 4:15 yesterday, because one of the things I was doing was giving this the proper thought of the top 10 most memorable sports championship live experiences. And it doesn't mean you had to attend the game itself, as long as there was a live experience involved that you remember and what's important to you about it. There's no right, there's no wrong. It's not ranking the quality of the game itself. So this was very interesting for me. As you know, that I've been really committing to these and trying to trying to hold myself to a very honest standard about some of them, and I did that. So I want to know. My guess on crossover. I'm gonna say maybe 2 things are gonna cross over here.
All right, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So again, the top 10 most memorable championship experiences, moments that we've had throughout our life, and something that the approach I took to it were things that drew a lot of emotion and great memory for me, and they weren't always like on the best side. They weren't always on the winning side of things either. So,
Okay.
and here we go. So I actually have 2 honorable mentions. The first being the 1994 NBA Finals, where the Houston Rockets beat the New York Knicks in a dramatic, exciting 7-game series. The reason why that's so memorable for me, not being a Houston Rockets fan, but loving the fact, and I do this, and I hope my good friend John Ortiz doesn't hear this, the fact that the New York Knicks lost the finals made me happier, almost as happy as any Bulls championship. So watching the Knicks lose the NBA Finals to the Rockets made my NBA year in 1994.
Oh, now, are these honorable mentions, or is that number 10?
Honorable mentions.
Okay.
I have 2 honorable mentions.
Okay.
The second honorable mention goes to the 1980 gold medal game where the USA beat Finland. It only gets an honorable mention because, of course, the dramatic event, it kind of peaked for me in memory with my brothers and my dad in watching the semifinal game against the Soviet Union. So not that the gold medal game wasn't exciting, not that we didn't watch it, not that we didn't love it, we did, but the level of emotion, it peaked for me in that Russia game, that Friday night game, watching with my brothers and my dad. I can still visualize it and picture it. I can picture the TV. I can picture we were all sitting in our condo that my dad lived in. So it gets an honorable mention, the gold medal game, only because of that experience of Team USA getting to the gold medal game.
It is also an honorable mention for me for very similar reasons.
Okay, very cool. So those were my 2 honorable mentions. Number 10 for me, and you're gonna, and I'm, this isn't a who you crapping or anything. This is legit. Number 10 is the 2005 White Sox World Series, only because it had such great and powerful emotion for people close to me, for friends.
You were holding me.
I was holding you. And I think back to Brian in Team Lodge getting up to the World Series, watching all the early round games with him and the excitement that he had as a White Sox fan, and then being there in Houston with the radio station, hanging out with you, and just experiencing that through my friends and coworkers. It was just a really special moment in that regard. Even though I wasn't personally excited about it, I was more envious and jealous of that moment. But it was still a very, very cool memory that I have from radio, from being down there with you. Because that, dude, seriously, that Houston trip had some of our great road trip memories of all time.
That's why it is my number 5 on my list.
Yeah, it should be higher for you as a Sox fan. Yeah,
it is the number 5. That the entire experience and the game, more so the game before, the game the previous evening.
Yes. Oh, that gave us one of the greatest nights out ever. ever.
Yep.
19 Miller Lights. And that is not an exaggeration what you consumed.
Yep.
You were
counting.
Very proud of you. It was tremendous.
Mm-hmm.
Tremendous effort on your part.
Thank you.
Where it went, we'll leave it there. All right, Dan, time to go. Let's head back to the room now, pal. I think we're good.
Okay, we're out of here.
You guys take care.
That'll do it. You'd like to throw a bed sheet over me and carry me over your shoulder.
Yes.
Yep. That's enough.
Took my belt off, strapped you up.
Yep. Out of you. All right, that'll
Let's
do
go.
it.
Here we go.
Here we go.
All right, guys, take care.
Come on now.
All right, number 9 for me is, and only because it was really special as a Chicago fan at the time, but the 1992 Stanley Cup Finals. Now, it didn't have a great outcome for the Blackhawks, who were swept by the Pittsburgh Penguins, who I believe won back-to-back championships that year. I think 91, they beat the Minnesota North Stars, if I'm not making that up, in the 91 finals. So they won back-to-back championships. The Blackhawks were up 4-1 in game 1, ended up losing that game, and then getting swept by the Penguins and Mario Lemieux. It's memorable, though, only because it was the first time the Hawks made the championship, the Stanley Cup, since 73. So that was important and special there. But, of course, the Bulls going through a championship run of their own time with two Chicago teams in the finals simultaneously was really, really awesome and cool. At the time, so I was 19 years old. I was working at the Herman Sporting Goods in the Orland Park Mall. And Game 4 was on while I was at work, and the store was empty. I remember just listening to. We had it on over the speakers, and just leaning against like clothing racks, just arm up, listening, and just being so irritated and mad that they got swept and that they lost, and they had to see the Penguins on TV celebrate. But it was just a really cool moment in Chicago sports for two teams to be competing simultaneously in their respective championships. Number 8, again, not a positive memory, but again, this is where my brothers, my dad come in. It's the 1984 NLCS. The Cubs losing to the Padres after a 2-0 lead, losing 3-2. But I remember distinctly watching that with my dad, my brothers. My dad was in the lower level of the house. My brothers were upstairs, and I would swap TVs I would watch from based on who was batting.
I went to the second game.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
So wait, you would have been what, 15?
Is that the Jody Davis home run? I
Yeah,
believe?
you were 15, right?
In 84, yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. That's very cool.
Yeah, the whole
and of course
family
knowing why the Cubs, why the Cubs only had 2 of the 5 games because not having lights, and so yeah, that was a problem. But even though it was a terrible outcome, it's just, again, the family memory that's involved there is what gets it number 8 for me. Number 7 is the 2010 Stanley Cup championship for your Chicago Blackhawks. Of course, it was their first championship since 1961. But for me, on a personal level, I was hosting the Blackhawks post-game shows on The Score with Jay Zawaski, which was a really awesome experience. I still have my notes from covering that series. And then from there, I got to be involved in the championship parade, where Mitch sent me out as like the on-site reporter. Why I was chosen, I have no idea. There were certainly guys there that loved the Blackhawks more, but it was the championship parade, the double-decker buses, and I remember, Dan, our starting point was the United Center, and I'm there, and I call in it was Spiegel and Mac.
Okay.
And so I'm doing a live hit. You know how excited McNeil would have been, right?
Obviously.
So I call in, and it's me, the sarcastic, non-hockey loving guy, not the right guy for this phone call.
That's a weird vibe.
And so it starts off, and he really wants me to be into it, like he was. And I go, all right, well, fellas, we're burying the lead here on this story. So what they did in the double-decker buses, they had name placards for all the players. So if they're in the bus, so people, as they're going by the parade, people would see, oh, there's so-and-so, there's so-and-so. They had some all-time greats, players that were no longer with us, their name placards. So you remember what I was like, bury the lead, that they're digging up some of these bodies of these old players, and they're going to throw them on these buses for this parade.
Mm-hmm.
Click. I got hung up on. I've talked to him about it since, and he doesn't even remember. And he tells me that there was other issues going on with the remote they were at, and he was just in a bad mood. And and he didn't mean that, it wasn't at me. It was just the whole event. And so, but
what is Pierre Palat doing here?
Yeah, I'm like, this is amazing. They're digging up all these dead players, and they're throwing their dead bodies on these buses for the fans to celebrate with. Click. Hello, guys. Oh,
what happened?
I was like, uh-oh. So that was like, oh man, I don't want to go back to the station.
It happened to me once when Mac hung up on me when I was covering a Bulls playoff series, and I was trying to talk about how they were defending pick and roll, and he just wasn't interested in basketball and hung up on me. So I called back. I'm like, hey, we got cut off. He's like, no, he hung up on you.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
I said, why did he hang up on me? He goes, I don't know.
So
it was Fishman. I called, and Fishman's like, I don't know. He just in a bad mood. He just didn't want to talk to you.
What were you covering?
The Bulls in the playoffs.
Oh, so Bulls playoff game. Right. So
Yeah.
he has a Bulls beat reporter on from the station.
Right before the game.
Right before the game.
We were talking about pick and roll defense.
But the topic wasn't a surprise to him, right? It was like, oh, we're having Bernstein on. I wonder why.
No.
That's amazing. And he just wanted nothing to do with it.
Wasn't interested.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. So we both got hung up on. I love it. That's great. Mm-hmm. So that's number 7 for me. Number 6. Oh, and also too, that was the Philly series. So Jay and I are in the conference room at NBC Tower watching the final game and didn't know that the goal was scored.
Only Patrick Kane and Michael Laettner knew that he scored.
It took us like several minutes, and we like looked at each other. We're like, "Oh my god, did the Hawks just win?" Like we didn't even celebrate in the moment. Mm-hmm. We just like sprinted down to the studio.
And is Patrick Kane being attacked by a swarm of bees?
Right.
Why else would he be acting like
that? What's going on?
Why is he taking all his clothes off?
So that was number 7. Number 6, the 1991 NBA Finals. Watching Michael Jordan win his first championship. I'll never, ever, ever forget that. Number 5
that
is the
have, by the way, is number 7 for me is the first Bulls title.
Okay, so that 6 for me, 7 for you, and so that's 2 crossovers so far.
Mm-hmm.
Number 5
is 3, including the 80 Olympics.
Oh yeah, and the honorable mentions.
Okay, yeah.
Number 5 is the 96 NBA Finals, where the Bulls won 72 games in the regular season. They go on to win the 4th championship for the organization. It was special because Jordan comes back. He gets knocked out. They get knocked out by the Magic the year before. That was Shaq and Anthony Hardaway. And not only were they knocked out of the playoffs, but he was embarrassed, and they were toying with him and they were mocking him too.
Don't forget the Horace Grant fist pumping and all of that.
Oh yeah, that's right. Grant was on that team. But when for them to come back as an organization, and so that's you have Dennis Rodman added to the team, and for them to come back, win 72 games, and for the organization and a team and players, Pippen, Rodman, Jordan, to be so determined after what happened, the year before, getting knocked out, so determined to win. It was just an incredible, remarkable run. First team in the NBA history to ever win 70-plus games. So that's number 5 for me, to see the Bulls in the first of their second three-peats right there, the 96 finals.
I have the 96 finals as an honorable mention.
Okay, so that's 4.
I covered it. And the only reason it's really an honorable mention is because the basketball in the finals was awful. The games themselves were guys couldn't make a shot. If you remember, like the games, the one that won it, the Bulls won 87-75.
Yeah, that was so.
Seattle won the previous game 89-78. And remember how the entire series was George Karl and Phil Jackson arguing through the media about who was being called for illegal defense and who wasn't.
Yeah, and so, but it was sold as a great defensive matchup, but it was just
yeah. The actual basketball, it was better back then. Go back and watch that series and tell me what. Seriously, all these people are like, the Jordan era was so awesome. No, it wasn't. Even these moments, the actual basketball was like watching people pull teeth.
Didn't he have one good game only? He played terrible too, didn't he?
Yeah, I don't have the stats in front of me. He had a couple of really good moments.
Yeah, but I thought Gary Payton had a really bad series, though.
Let's
if I
see.
remember correct.
Gary Payton, in 6 games, he averaged 18 points. He shot 44% from the floor, averaged 18 and 7.
Okay. I almost said Gary Coleman, by the way, too.
Matchup problem.
Yeah, that would have been bad. That's a good look for Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
Who's covering Jordan? Oh, we got Gary Coleman on him.
That's going to be a problem.
Number 4 for me is, and you don't need too much of an explanation, but the 1986 Super Bowl. And I've mentioned this before on the podcast. I was 13. I had the flu. I was quarantined. I watched the game alone. I was sitting on the floor in front of the TV looking up. And I remember as a 13-year-old kid getting tears in my eyes watching what the Bears did.
It was number 8 for me. Okay. Completely anticlimactic. I mean, it matters, but it was only a question of by how much they were going to win. Everybody knew that they were going to stomp them. And once they got over the Payton fumble and the Tony Franklin field goal and Matsui scored that touchdown, then you're like, oh, okay, everything's going to be fine.
But it was awesome, fine. Though. I love the fact, looking back on it, the way that started, because it did for about 3.5 minutes draw some oh my God, is this really happening type situation.
Yes.
And then it went away very, very quickly.
Yeah, they're like, oh, okay, everything's okay.
All right. So that's number 4, the 86 Super Bowl. For me, number 3, the 2019 Masters. Tiger Woods' last major. He had a one-shot victory over, I think, 3 or 4 guys tied. Dustin Johnson was in there. Xander Schauffele I think he was in there too. Who else was in there? I think he had a one-shot lead over 2 or 3 or 4 guys maybe. But it was very special, excuse me, because I love Tiger. And Jackson and Henry sat for the final round on the couch next to me and watched the entire round. I couldn't believe that they didn't, like, they knew that I was excited to watch Tiger. They knew how much I love Tiger. And so it started, they sat with me and they didn't leave the entire, I couldn't believe they sat through an entire 4th round of the Masters just to watch with me. Yeah. So that was really, really cool.
That's
and
fun.
so Henry would have been 6 and Jack would have been 5. But I'll never ever forget that, just because of I love watching Tiger play golf, but having those 2 guys watch the entire time, it was really cool. So that's number 3 for me. Number 2 is the 2016 Cubs World Series. We've talked about this too on the podcast. You and I hosted earlier in the day together. My phone crapped out in the middle of our show, so I was without a phone watching the World Series. I was alone at my apartment. I didn't go out. I didn't want to be around anyone. And I sat alone on the floor again, like a 13-year-old kid watching the Bears Super Bowl. And I watched the game alone at home and didn't have a phone until the next day when I was able to go to the phone store and get that taken care of. And when it finally got reactivated, I had hundreds of phone calls and voice messages and text messages from people reaching out and trying to talk, friends, family, people from the score. And I just had zero communication with people. And I just sat there and enjoyed every second of it. And I was so present, even though it was on TV and I'm watching it, I was so present in that because I didn't have my phone on me. And I still have,
What a great lesson, right?
I kept score, of all the games, and I still have those notes. But yeah, because I didn't have my phone, it made it more memorable for me. And I was up till like 3 or 4 in the morning watching all the post game stuff, everything I could, and I was just there alone and enjoyed every second of it. Until sometime after that, I talked to my brother, my oldest brother Mark, who passed away a year later. It was a little bit less than a year, but he passed away in 2017. He was like, "Oh, I didn't know you watched it alone. We could have watched together." And then after he passed away, I was like, "Well, shit, I would have loved to watch the game with him."
Guy. Yeah.
Yeah. But the fact that I was just all by myself and without a phone to distract me at all, it just made it even more special. So you're probably wondering, as a Cubs fan, lifelong Cubs fan, how could the World Series be number 2? What could possibly be number 1? Because the Super Bowl is already there. Bulls championships are there. So for me, my number 1 sport experience championship moment took place last year at the Field of Dreams. And it was Jackson's 11U tournament at the Field of Dreams. And his team had kind of a down year for them. But in this tournament, they made the championship game. And the championship game was played on the actual Field of Dreams movie site. So I love the movie. And before the game, I was able to play catch with Hank and Jack on the outfield. All the dads are out there with their kids. If your kid was playing, you got to go out there. And so we were playing catch. And then to watch Jackson stand on the mound, and he closed out the game. He pitched the final 3 innings. And it was kind of a down year offensively for him, but he went 2 for 3. He had like 3 RBIs in the game, and then closed out the final 3 innings to win the game on the Field of Dreams, actual movie site field. As a dad, was something I'll never, ever, ever forget my entire life.
You may never top that,
No, I don't think I ever will, which is why it's number 1 for me. Just the whole experience of it, and then to see how Jack was able to step up and perform with a big smile on his face the entire time, to come through at the plate and then on the mound to close it out. And then once the game ended, they were going to do the award ceremony on the field. The skies opened up in a storm that I've never seen before. And so there was a big event barn where the events were held. And so we're all indoors and we're doing the award ceremony in there. Remember trying to drive home, and I was like, this is just not safe to drive home. I got kids in the car. So it's like, we stopped in Dubuque, leaving from where Field of Dreams is, and got a hotel room for the night because I just couldn't even bother. There's no way I could have driven home. which then turned into an impromptu post-game party with about half the team in the swimming pool.
And that's the best.
So it was great. That experience is number one for me and will never be topped.
That was great.
Thank you.
My honorable mentions on my list of the top 10 most memorable sports championship experiences. As I mentioned, the 1980 Olympics, it all happened so fast. I didn't have a lifetime to get excited for it. It was just, everything was just this burst of excitement, and I became this fan for that fortnight. And it was much more of the win over the Soviets that felt like the championship more than the win over Finland. But that's an honorable mention. I mentioned the Bulls over Seattle in 1996. It was
bad.
It was just bad.
So Bernstein.
No, honestly, like there's some. It's great that they won, but it's like, ugh, stop playing already. I also have the Bulls over Portland and the Bulls over Phoenix. Both of those championships were great. I remember that my cousin Adam and I, after the Bulls beat Phoenix, we said, let's go downtown and see what people are doing. And we did, and people were going crazy, and we met a bunch of characters and just kind of ran around, and we were stupid. I also put on here some other Super Bowl experiences, just in general, like the ones we had with the shows, the ones we had in and around the various Super Bowls. The time we had in New Orleans, where after spending 7 days there for work, I took another 4 and flew Beth down before we were even engaged, and that was some of the first extended time the two of us had away together. Nice. and really enjoyed that. I also circled as an honorable mention Super Bowl 50 in 2016, when that was Peyton Manning and the Broncos beating the Carolina Panthers. And it's only because that was my aunt's funeral, and my Aunt Phyllis, who died at age 76, and her funeral was awesome. We had the greatest family time at her funeral.
Wait, the game was on during her funeral? Like, is that what you're saying?
They threw a Super Bowl party because it so happened that her funeral was the day before. No, it might have been that morning. And not only was, she was just just an unbelievably full of life human being, and just one of the great. My sister was very, very close with her. My father was extremely close with his sister, and people came in from all over. We basically took over the Marriott in the Regency neighborhood in Omaha, and we took over the lobby, like what you did when you're talking about on that trip in Dubuque.
Yeah,
we did that at like a full blown Marriott, because there were so many people that were staying there from out of town that came in just for the funeral. Then her sons said, "All right, Super Bowl party, we're doing it. Everybody's coming over." And we had this giant Super Bowl party at their house celebrating her. She was a huge football fan, and she's like, all she would want us to do, she would be, if you told her that people would miss a Super Bowl for her funeral, she would be miserable forever. So they just leaned in and made a giant Super Bowl party out of it. So that's a great memory there, and remembering her as part of that. I'll always have that. The other honorable mention was the Bulls over the Jazz in '97. That was the prelude to the Last Dance season, and that ended here at the United Center. That's the one where I had to scream the question over the crowd to ask Michael Jordan if he wanted Rodman back, and he was kind enough to let me get the question in afterward, because he knows that I had been there all season, and everybody it was a wild scene, and I just those Bulls locker rooms, all the cigar smoke that took forever to get out of my hair, but that I'll definitely remember that. Number 10, the 1997 World Series Game 7 at Miami, when the Marlins defeated Cleveland, thanks to Edgar Renteria. The reason why it's memorable, I was down there covering Bears-Dolphins.
Oh, cool.
Bears-Dolphins are on Monday Night Football. Les Grobstein had a credential to Game 7 and couldn't go for some reason. So this is pre-9/11, remember? And Ron Gleason and Les can't use his credential. Why don't you just say you're Les Grobstein, and then you'll have a credential for Game 7 of the World Series? Sure, I'm already here.
Right.
Got nothing else to do. Just make sure you do a scene setter. That's all they wanted me to do. I really didn't even have to work. So I did a scene setter and got to be a credentialed media member for Game 7 of the World Series.
That's cool.
But the story starts when I got back, because I had the credit. It was on a yellow placard. It was kind of written in Sharpie, Les Grobstein, WSCR. And what do I do with a credential when I'm leaving the event?
You left it.
I throw it away.
Yeah.
Because who gives a shit? Not Les Grobstein. So I got back and Les goes, "Where's my credential?" And I immediately blanch, and I'm like, I don't have it with me. Like, you have to have the credential. This stuff is like a talisman, it's sacred to him. And I had no idea. And then I kind of remember, like, oh, geez. So I thought, oh no, what am I going to do? Well, let me find it. It might be in my car. I'll find it. So I call the PR department of the Marlins. And I got some functionary, and I finally talked to somebody like, "Hey, this is a really weird request." I said, "Do you have any blank extra credentials? You have a box like those yellow credentials. You have a blank one for the World Series?" And she goes, "Let me check." Puts the phone down. She's like, "Oh yeah, we got a bunch of them." Like, thank God. Here's a FedEx number. Will you get this to me as quickly as possible? It's like, just a blank one? Like, yeah, just a blank one. It's like, sure. Okay. So it arrived the next day. I grab a Sharpie. I fill everything out. Les Grobstein, WSCR, fill out the whole thing. And they're like, "Oh, here you go, Les. I found it. Here you go." "Oh, great. Thanks.
Oh my God.
Yep.
And he never knew.
No. I didn't want him to. He never knew.
That's pretty good.
True story. So that's number 10.
Yeah, you should have known better though, bro.
I know. I should have.
Yeah.
Number 9, Cubs win the World Series.
Okay.
It wasn't meaningful to me as a fan, but it was meaningful to me as they were a business partner at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I just understood what it meant for the station at the time, and what it really, and still to this day, Mitch Rosen is still giving out scorecards from the Game 7 that Pat Hughes, he's got a stack of them this big. That's still, he has Pat sign them, and they're still getting mileage off of that championship and that game, that World Series. And, being there and talking to people and just being involved, I'll never forget it, because we were the Cubs station. And it was, even though it wasn't something that I didn't share the same kind of fan memories, I get it. I know how big it is. And that's number 9.
It's funny that that scorecard, we all had one framed and given to us. And I found it I surprisingly enough, I didn't have it up at all. I don't know why I didn't have it up, but I found it in storage. And so the first Christmas that Natalie and I celebrated together, I had it reframed. We had it done really, really nice, like at Michael's, I think.
Oh, cool.
And then we gifted it to her dad, who is a huge Cubs fan. And so now we'd been dating for a little bit, and it was our first Christmas, and I'm with the family, meeting a lot of extended family for the first time.
Good one.
And her dad opens it, and he cries. And it's like the second time ever in her life that she ever saw her dad cry. And like her cousins were older in their 20s, these three dudes, really great guys, and her uncle, and they were like, "Wow, Jesus, way to set the bar."
Mm-hmm.
You got Uncle Lee to cry. So
nice job.
Yeah, it was cool. And then they're like, "Well, what's your plan for next year?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Maybe we'll bring Pat Hughes over for a drink or something. Who knows?"
Hello, Lee.
That's right.
I'm wearing my gray trousers with my blue shirt. Number 8 is the Bears win in '85. We knew it was going to happen. It was just a matter of how, and everybody knew that it was 2 weeks to party and know the Bears were going to win the Super Bowl. They did win the Super Bowl. And with the exception of Walter Payton not scoring a touchdown, everything was just about perfect.
Yep.
Number 7, Bulls beat the Lakers to win the title in 1991. And even that felt like it was coming because of what they did to Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
That was because it was they.
That was the championship.
Oh, they swept Detroit and absolutely repeatedly kicked them in the dick.
Yep.
That was the best part of that was everything that they went through with the bad boy Pistons. They clowned, embarrassed, made them walk off the floor early. They absolutely emasculated the Pistons.
Yeah.
And then beating the Lakers was great, but it wasn't as good as just the grinding their bones into dust the way that they did it. Number 6, 1990, Duke loses in record fashion in the national championship to UNLV. Like, real bad. And
that was a team, man. That 90 running Rebels, man, or something.
Yeah, and there wasn't much you could do with that
No.
team. But the reason why that was memorable was because our group at Cable 13, the Duke student television station, was asked by the university to produce a hype video for the viewing party at Cameron Indoor Stadium. They're going to open it up, and all the students, we packed 9,314 people in Cameron Indoor Stadium to watch the game together.
Cool.
And we produced this long form. It was about a 3-minute hype video of highlights that we had and highlights that we found, TV highlights, all to music. And this was hand editing. This was with the 2 little wheels. And you talk about, I never pulled an all-nighter for studying for class, but Stephen Goldberg and Tim Kelly, who did more than I did. I did some of it, and then I didn't have the patience for it. I forgot I was actually studying for something, I think. And really, it was more Steve and Tim, who is now a federal judge, and they put together, and it was so good. So excited, got people so ready for this game that people wanted copies of it and the whole thing. And then Duke just got annihilated. It looked, it was so bad. It was so, you knew it from the moment that after tip off, you're like, oh, wait, the Duke team looked like little children against like grown, the monstros or whatever it was. And it was awful, and they lost 103-73, which I think was the most lopsided national championship of all time. And it was memorable. That was number 6. Number 5, White Sox win the World Series because the White Sox won the World Series. I do think it's underappreciated that they were up 3-0, and so it was the 15-inning game after the Jeff Blum homer the night we were referencing, but it was great. Coming home the next morning, waking up the next morning, and seeing Don Cooper still awake. He had not gone to sleep.
Yeah.
Seeing Frank Thomas there. Going to the airport. We were on the first flight out, if you remember, and Mayor Daley was on the flight.
No, he sat next to me.
Mayor Daley, wearing a White Sox cap.
Yes. With
a huge grin on his face. So the happiest Sox fan you could find was Richard Daley.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And just being and sharing that with everybody and coming back. So that was number 5. Number 4 on my list. The 1994 Midwest League Finals, when the Cedar Rapids Colonels beat the Rockford Royals 3-1. And that game ended in Cedar Rapids at the original Veterans Memorial Stadium. And I will never forget that when Cedar Rapids won the game and began celebrating, and we're watching down on the field, and I'm doing the game for Rockford, Johnny Dosco is doing the game for Cedar Rapids. And Johnny Dosco, who had been sort of the king of Sacramento forever and now is one of the broadcasters for the Athletics, players came up to the booth. They were celebrating on the field. Players ran up to the booth to pour champagne over his head.
Oh, wow.
And include him in the celebration.
That's cool.
And I was so envious. So envious. It wasn't about the ring. It was about that he was part of the team, man.
Yeah.
Like they were on the field and they like look up at the press box. They're like, Johnny D. And they ran up there and made sure that while he was talking, that the celebration came to him.
That's cool.
That's how much people loved that guy. And he is a great dude. And I just remember that's indelible to me of just, I was a kid and just, oh God, I wanted that so bad. Number 3 was the Last Dance final. Bulls beat the Jazz in Utah in 1998. Jordan hits the shot. Jordan shoves Brian Russell to the ground.
Yeah, kind of, not really.
Yeah, you kind of really shoved the guy in the ground.
You watch it in replay. His momentum was taking him that way.
And everybody knew that would be when his momentum's going that way. It's a perfect time to make sure he falls on his ass.
Yeah,
and he hits the shot, and they win. And everybody races back. We finish filing our stories. We do all our stuff. We go to the hotel, but oh no, it's past midnight. And it was from I think a Saturday to a Sunday, which meant you could not serve alcohol in Utah.
except
when NBA PR waived those rules. And the next thing I know, there were carts and carts and carts of brown liquor and tequila rolling into the media rooms. And the other thing that is memorable about that to me was I was exhausted, not just from that game, but from covering that season, covering the Last Dance season. I was exhausted. I was bone tired and done, like completely done. And I came home, and I remember saying to Beth, I'm taking a vacation. And she's like, where are we going? You never take vacations. And I said, honey, I love you dearly. I am taking a vacation. I need to go away. And I should have done more of that in my, but that was the only time I realized that I made a reservation at a little lake resort in Wisconsin by myself. And I just drove away. I got a fishing pole, and I did a little bit of fishing, but it was more just doing nothing. And I sat around the lake for a while, and I slept when I wanted, and I read, and I did puzzles, and I did that for 3 days.
Well, yeah, you probably should have done more of that.
Right?
Yeah.
But I told her, I'm like, look, I love you, but I need to go away and sit in a lake. And I almost did, like literally walk into the lake and sit there. But I just remembered how bone weary I was. And so that's number 3. Number 2, Duke wins. The year after they lost, Duke played UNLV again in the Final Four in one of the greatest basketball games I've ever seen. I can watch it a million times.
Yeah.
I still don't think they won. I still think they're going to lose. Every time I've seen that game, I still think they're going to lose. And they beat UNLV. They go on to beat Kansas to win the national championship. I had to watch that game alone in my apartment off campus. So Duke wins the national championship.
Oh, the Kansas game you couldn't watch with people?
No.
Okay, wow.
So they win. I very calmly get into my car. I have a 12-pack of Natural Light cans on my lap while I'm driving the 5 minutes to campus. I drive. I park the car. I leave my keys locked in the car with the engine running.
Okay.
Didn't realize it until later.
Okay.
When I couldn't find my keys.
I was like, explain that strategy to me.
Don't
now I
know.
get it. Okay.
Don't know. Just didn't know. Go to the bonfire. There's a famous picture of me that you've seen at the bonfire with a sideways White Sox hat.
Mm-hmm.
And a beer-stained Duke sweatshirt. That was in the parking lot of Cameron at the official bonfire. And then the next morning, went back to my car that was still running. It had a public safety officer Slim Jim the thing, and I drove home.
Wow.
That's
a lot of gas in that car.
Yeah, it was efficient. It wasn't really the best for the environment.
So I didn't realize that. So the Duke basketball meant that much to you?
Oh yeah, when you're in the middle of it, and that was back when you went to class with the players. That was back before they were like not really like that. That was still college basketball. They were still around campus and like living a normal student life.
Okay, yeah, I thought at the time of like doing the paper and stuff and kind of covering the team that it didn't have the same impact or effect.
No, it was too big.
Okay.
It was so huge, and Duke had never won a national title. It was their first.
Oh yeah, 90. That's right. Yeah. Okay.
Duke had never. It was the very first national title, and because of how brutal the loss was the year before, it had ended my run as a student of 4 Final Fours, culminating in a senior year national title.
Okay.
And for that being the same year that the Bulls were, I mean, it was wild times. But it's not my number one. My number one sports championship experience was the Chicago South Meteors Hockey Club in 2022 in the Hayes Conference. They didn't have they had a good season, but not a great season, and had injuries and some absences. Our best player was playing for like 3 different clubs and had some commitments to these expensive clubs. I'm pretty sure he's playing high-level college hockey now. And so we had some ups and downs in the season. And the one thing that was our constant the entire season was our goaltender, because we only had one. We didn't have a backup goaltender, and that was for practices, for the 5 a.m. practices, for the 10:30 at night practices, for everything that season was. One goalie took every shot, and even to the point where our coach would give him breaks during practice to just sit down, because at the end of the year, so mentally and physically beaten up, and got into the playoffs, started the playoffs with a comeback win in Bolingbrook against Lincoln Way, down 2-0, come back to win the game 4-3. Our coach got kicked out of the game, and it was after the coach got kicked out of the game, an assistant took over, and all of a sudden, I don't know what happened, but they end up winning that game. They end up in the finals against Homewood Flossmoor, and it is a best-of-3 series. First game at Crestwood, hard-fought game in that dump of a rink. Chicago South loses 3-1 on an empty net goal. It was 2-1, 2-1, 2-1. Add the extra attacker. They put one in at the end, and our defenseman was chasing this dribbling puck and ended up going into the goal with the puck for the empty netter. That was game. They lose game 1. Game 2, because of there was and this is what really made it. Game 2 was at McFetridge, right around the corner from our house, where our youth hockey was all played. And we had a huge crowd. The multiple high schools that were represented by Chicago South turned everybody out. We had people from Walcott, De La Salle, Jones. The crowd was incredible, absolutely unbelievable, and won that game 4-1. And Jason stopped 3 breakaways in that game. And I just remember the people banging on the glass. It was sensational. So the deciding game was in Willowbrook, and they won it 4-2. And my favorite moment of that game was late in the game. It's 4-2. We had our best defenseman could be a bit hot-headed at times, and there was a questionable play in our defensive zone. And just as Dario looked like he was about to do something because he was mad and about to retaliate, he got shoved, he was mad, and he was about to step into the fray. And out of nowhere, all of a sudden, the goalie is on top of his own defenseman, from behind, leaps on his back. Jason leaps on him, grabs him around the throat, and pulls him down. He came, it's the fastest I've ever seen him skate. Threw his stick down, came through his glove down, came racing out of the net, grabbed his teammate, and tackled his teammate to keep him from getting a penalty, and started screaming at him. And they ended up winning that game, winning the championship, raising the banner, and carrying the big Hayes Conference championship trophy around. And it was the culmination of an unbelievable year, and by a mile, my favorite sports championship.
Very cool. That's great. That was 2022, you said?
Yep.
Nice.
That was 4 years ago.
All right. Very cool. Love it.
Yeah. There you go.
Well, that was fun stuff.
As always. Have a great Super Bowl weekend. That's going to do it for Dan Bernstein Unfiltered.
Dan Bernstein Unfiltered. Unfiltered on 312 Sports.